So there's so many things that I want to discuss because this is not just a quick little video or a quick little situation that we'll go over. So let's just take it from the very top. So after the latest UFC event, Islam basically showed why he is the greatest of all time in the sport right now, and will probably go down in the whole conversation for the greatest of all time in UFC MMA period. But even though he had a very worthy adversary here in Ian Gary, Joe Rogan still feels like Islam should have ran through him and instead almost urged Islam to just go back down to 155 to stay there and just defend the 155 and just not put any type of challenge on himself. And just by the way, that kind of puts down Ian Gary if you really think about it. But staying on the Islam topic here, because let's be honest here, Joe Rogan is washed and the dude should just retire. Max Holloway went after Islam because Islam is flexing his two belts, which rightfully so, right? Nobody was able to take the 155 belt away from him. He was able to destroy Alexander Volkanovski, someone that absolutely destroyed Holloway. Uh, he was able to kill the decision's boogeyman in Charles Oliveira and tap him out. Like, Islam did absolutely everything he was going to do. And listen here, it's all up for speculation, right? Many people think that he was dodging Topuria. But when you really think about it, I want to say that it probably would have gone the same way that it did with Charles Oliveira. If anything worse, because Topuria was going to be moving up a weight class. He was a lot smaller for the 155ers. And it's the same argument that I've almost had when it comes down to Tony Ferguson and Habib. Like, honestly, it probably would have been exciting to see it actually go down. But when you really think about it, Habib would probably maul Tony Ferguson. And that's probably what Islam would have done to Ilya as well. Obviously, Max Holloway feels like he's just flexing too much, or like he's doing too much. He's being extra by carrying two belts. But it's like, well, why are you so upset about that? Like, Max seems like such a humble guy. That's such a weird take for him. Like, be happy for the brother that's like holding it down and making huge impact for the sport and putting MMA on an even bigger plate for everybody to consume. Like, relax, dude. And by the way, when you really think about it, I want to say he's probably salty because the dude lost the BMF title fight in the most non BMF way. That fight went to a decision, and that fight was probably one of the most boring fights I've ever seen. And it just so happened that it happened to be for the BMF belt. Like, what was so BMF about that? And a lot of people want to say that, oh, well, Holloway would have definitely had more success on the feet, but I I almost want to argue that point because when they did stood and bang, Oliveira was clipping him, and I feel like Oliveira would have put him out. But we will never know, and all that we do know is that Oliveira dominated Holloway the entire fight, and it's now the BMF belt, and it's well deserved. Oliveira is a big, mean dude. I feel like he will actually do something with it. Oliveira has starched most of the division, and honestly, it's just well deserved. It just sounds very jealous of Holloway, though. I don't know why he would go on about it that way. So after Robertson basically lost the fight to McKenzie, Thomas just essentially retired from coaching. Just essentially diss your fighter. Like, what kind of fighter has a coach like that? But most importantly, what kind of coach just leaves their fighter right out on the whole, just leave them out in the cold? It doesn't make sense. It's like, if you guys remember that one situation with Rumble when he lost and then his whole team just left him. This is essentially that, except Dean Thomas plays a big role in UFC events. They'll usually get his opinion because the dude knows what he's talking about. So at this point, what are you so upset about? That fight was as competitive as it was gonna get. It's clear that Robertson is not the best striker, but I mean, like, what do you expect? Like, be happy for your fighter. Be happy. Stand by them. And for once, I found myself agreeing with Sean Strickland, which is the weirdest thing that that I'll say in 2026. Strickland goes after Dean Thomas and basically just calls him scum and you know disses him, and I can't say that I disagree with Sean Strickland. It's a really scummy move after your fighter who has been scratching and inching for that title shot finally gets it, and unfortunately it doesn't go her way, whether because it was preparation, coaching, or it just wasn't her night. Like, just be happy for your fighters. It's so scummy to just retire like that, and everybody basically assumes because it was of her performance. Guys, this is really like a lot of crazy things that are going on in the UFC right now that I really needed to talk about because some of these fighters and coaches need to get called out, and I'm very passionate about the sport. I feel like it's fallen off lately in my opinion, obviously, but like we're going to continue to put these people on blast because the sport is so sacred and I feel like it needs to be talked about in a more broader way. But anyways, guys, that's about it. Goodbye.